One of these.
Yet another ace pick from Rialto, the home of fine film.
I've known Henry since I was 6 years old. I remember the first day we met.
We travel through time. In fact, you and I are friends in the future, when you're a lady.
There's no such thing as time traveling.
Well, if you hang around long enough, you'll see me disappear.
1 second he was there, and the next, he was gone.
The film we're looking at this morning is The Time Traveller's Wife. John Henderson with his thoughts this morning. Good morning, John.
Morning, Wammo. Gosh, I've been looking forward to this movie.
Many people have, because this book was huge, a bestseller worldwide. And,
it was a brilliant book. I mean, it was always pushed as sort of a chick lit book, but I read it and really enjoyed it. So maybe it got me in touch with my feminine side, or perhaps I just like the whole time travel angle.
Yeah.
But it was brilliant. It really worked for me, the whole premise of a man who has no control over this genetic disorder that means he just travels back and forward through time, and the love of his life, who he meets when she is 6 or 7 years old for the first time, and then continues to meet her off and on throughout the whole of his life until he does meet her as an adult and they get married. So, that's how the book goes. However, the movie kind of changes things a bit.
Because I was told, I haven't read the book, but I've been told by people who read the book that this is impossible to get onto the screen because it's non-linear.
Well, you're right. It isn't straightforward, and I think, and I did feel that the movie failed in that it doesn't really explain what's going on. And if you haven't read the book, you'll go along there and come away from it with questions that don't get answered, which is a shame. For all that, though, it is a love story. I've spoken to some people that feel it was a bit of a mopey romantic drama.
Yeah.
However, I still think it played out well on the big screen. The idea is that Henry is a mild-mannered librarian. He holds down a job, but at the same time, this genetic disorder means that he can literally disappear from in front of you and then reappear naked, because he can't take his clothes with him when he time travels.
Of course.
In a different era, forward or backwards in time.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, you think, what a great ability. I would love an ability like that. I mean, you could pop back to last week, stop yourself from making an idiot of yourself at the office drinks, pop forward to next Thursday to get big Wednesday's numbers.
Yeah.
But he has no control over it. And in the book, that makes a lot more sense than it does in the movie. In the movie, it's kind of, he's popping and bopping all over the place, and what's it all about? How does it actually tie into this plot? Where are we going? And I think what's happened is the screenplay writer is the chap that did Ghost. And if you ever saw Ghost, that was obviously romantic love story connecting the heroine, who I think was Demi Moore, with Patrick Swayze, the crossover point being the afterlife. So they've taken that guy and asked him to do another screenplay fairly similar to that, but rather than doing that, we're crossing over from the other side, we're crossing through time, and he just doesn't quite get it, I don't think.
Yeah, so, because now the book goes from time to time, and there's no linear time scale. So does the movie try to make it linear by following her rather than him?
A little bit of both. It mainly follows him, whereas the book followed her, followed him to a degree, but the great bit about the book, and the reason I think it was so popular, is that he would always return to her. She had known him her whole life, and it was a story about her devotion to him and the love that they had that literally did span time. The movie is more about the love that they have, but it just isn't sold on the big screen, because it's more about, yes, he's jumping through time, he's going forward, he's going backward, and the whole concept of time is great. I mean, it's quirky. It was done very well in the Back to the Future series, where they just had such a ball with it. But here it's almost a constraint. It doesn't make sense, and I was a little bit sad about that, because I thought it would have been quite cool if it had made more sense. I mean, people were saying to me, so how does he hold down a job? He disappears, he's gone for a week, and there's a pile of clothes there. questions like that, and it's like, well, just go with it. It's a story.
Or what about, because my first question would be, did someone go to the authorities about this? Did someone attempt to go see a scientist?
Well, he tries to seek treatment. They think that it looks like it's because he gets a bit anxious at times, and when he's under stress, that's when he disappears. So, pump yourself up full of tranquilizers and Prozac, and you should be fine. Yeah, it's a shame.
It's funny for me, because okay, I haven't read the book, but I did. This is terrible, but I did interview Audrey Niffenegger, the author of the book, a number of years ago. About the book? About the book. Which is, it's kind of funny to be there right at the sort of beginning, because I said to her, well, this sounds like might make a great movie one day, and she goes, oh, well, we're in talks about that at the moment. So it's funny to be there right at the beginning about the talks, and now we have a result, and now it's out there.
Well, funnily enough, Brad and Jennifer bought the screen rights to the book.
Right. In fact, I think that's what she said. Yes.
And then, of course, they got locked in all sorts of separation issues, and so it just sat there for many years.
Yeah.
And I think the idea was they bought it and they were going to act out the main parts. And I think it would have been really good.
And that's what Audrey was actually looking forward to. She was looking forward to them owning the project and then actually being in it as well, and then carrying it all the way through.
And I think it could have played out really well with their input. Yeah. So it's one of those things that we'll never know. Brad is Henry. Jennifer is Claire. However, Rachel McAdams and Eric Bana are good in their parts. I did think, though, that in the book, every time Henry time travels, it takes a little bit out of him. Apparently it's like akin to running a marathon or an ultra-marathon. Yeah. And Eric Bana always just looked a little bit too hale and hearty for me. I think Jude Law would have been a better pick. Just as kind of a sort of a slimmer, scrawnier kind of guy.
I'm a little bit put off by this. It sounds a little bit like, oh no, like something band like some Snow Patrol have gotten a hold of the the soundtrack. I'm like, oh, okay, so it's turning into a Grey's Anatomy type,
Oh, Grey's Anatomy is all about unrequited love, isn't it?
Is it? No idea. But that in the trailer is like, is it all like powerful kind of pop ballads?
Well, it's a little bit mopey and romantic, and I don't think it takes itself too seriously. Whereas the book did; it had a serious message, and that was you can love someone across time, and you can be there for them for your whole life, and they'll be there for as much as theirs as they can be, and that doesn't really work in the movie. I would say if you like Eric Bana and you enjoy the idea of seeing him running around naked for a good third of the film, this is the one for you.
Right, I'm there.
He's there.
That's it. Sold.
And there is good screen chemistry between Rachel McAdams and Eric Bana, but I think the script has let them down. And at the risk of sounding like a broken record or a repeating soundbite, this is yet another novel I have seen translate to the big screen this year that is left wanting. And I am just wondering, where are the script writers in Hollywood? What's happened to them? I know they were on strike the other year, but I thought everyone was friends again. So why aren't they writing scripts to turn into movies? What's this about, let's grab a book and stick it on the screen? I don't get it.
Out of 5, what would you give it?
Running on a 2.
Oh, harsh. Thanks very much, John Henderson.
Okay.
What's wrong with me wanting one normal thing in my life? You think that I wanted this life? This husband that disappears? Who would want that?
You have a choice.
I never had a choice.
I don't want you to spend your life waiting.
I wouldn't change 1 second of our life together.
Sweet as. Check out rialto.co.nz for a little more.